Hi there, welcome to Lesson 6 of Unit 4 Reading Guide. We're going to be looking at matrices for this lesson. So I've got a couple of definitions here that you'll want to fill in. A matrix is a rectangular array of numbers, and we usually use brackets, like I've put here, to display the array. It's kind of important that we use the brackets for the matrix because we're going to use something else for the determinant later on. And each number in a matrix is called an element there. So let's take a look at how we organize the information inside of a matrix. So you'll notice that my matrix here has rows and columns. So the example tells us that there are 2 rows and 3 columns. That means we would say that this matrix A is a 2 by 3. We did the rows first by the number of columns. Check out the notation we have here too. We have element 1, 2. That tells us it's an element in row 1, column 2. So row 1, column 2, and that element is 4. So you can give a location for every element that you want in this particular setup when you're using to reference a matrix. Okay, our next problem asks us to represent the system with a matrix. So I want you to see how I broke this down to put my matrix together, okay? You'll notice in my equations that I took the coefficients. I just took the numbers that were in front of the variables. So I've got 2, there's an understood 1 in front of that y, and then the constant 9. I did the same thing with the second row, but I want you to recognize that I took the negatives with it. So I have the 1 that's in front of x, it's understood. I've got -6, and I've got -1 there. And notice also that in the columns, I've got the x's. The second column, I've got the y's, and in the third column, I've got the constants. That's important as we organize our information. Okay, let's look at the next one then, and that is that we are trying to go the other way. So you'll notice on number 15, if you've seen any of my videos, you know I highlight this one because we're going to be coming back to it when we're looking to get ready for our unit test. But we're going the other way this time. Notice that I'm giving you the matrix and I'm asking you to come back and put the variables in so that you can see the equation. So it's the reverse of what we did here in number 14. So I'm putting the x's back in with the numbers in the first column, putting the y's back in with the numbers in the second column, and I'm putting those constants in for the numbers in the third column. So that's how I get back to my system. I can go from system to matrix. I can go from matrix to system, whichever way that I need to do. Okay, let's look at the last problem then. And this is where we're going to be going to a calculator to solve this particular matrix. And you know, really in Unit 4, we've been looking at the systems of equations and we've been using all of these techniques, elimination, substitution, but now we get this opportunity to do it with a calculator. So I want you to go ahead and take a look at this equation. I'm going to switch over to my other, let me think. I'm going to switch over to my desktop so you can see my calculator. So just let's see, there we are. You should be able to see, now you can get to this calculator by just going to desmos.com/matrix. Desmos.com/matrix. And the thing you want to do is we're going to create a new matrix. So remember, if you're looking at our equation, we have, it's going to be a 3 rows, because we got 3 equations, 4 columns. So I'm going to have to go 3 rows. Notice I'm 3 rows, not 4. I'm just pressing the plus or minus button to add more rows or columns in. And now I'm just going to type those coefficients. Remember, our first equation was 2a plus 3b minus c equals 1. So I'm going 2, right arrow 3, right arrow -1, right arrow 1. Go to my next row, -4, right arrow 9, right arrow 2, right arrow 8. Right arrow again, go to your third row, -2, right arrow. Now I've got to put a 0 in because there's no b in that last equation. And then I've got a 2, right arrow 3. Okay, so there's my matrix. Go ahead and press enter so it will save our matrix. And here's the beauty. You ready for it? We're going to click row echelon forms, what that stands for, row echelon form. And then we've got to tell it, hey, let's do this for matrix A. So click your A. Sadly, you can't type it in, just so you know, you have to click it. And then you can press enter and look at this beauty that the calculator gives you, okay? Now, you will even do the hard work. If you want it to give it to you as a fraction, voila, okay? Wow, it did all the hard work. But here's how we have to interpret that information. Row 1 tells us what A is. A is 1/2. Alphabetical order, right? Because we put them in alphabetical order with the columns. Row 2 tells us what B is. B is 2/3. And third row, C, tells us that C is 2. Pretty awesome. Okay, I'm going to go back to our reading guide so I can record these answers. Remember, it's an ordered triplet in alphabetical order. So I've got A was 1/2, B was 2/3, and C was 2. Check out that desmos.com/matrix to have that calculator. Be sure and bookmark it so you can use it again.